The UKIP leader Nigel Farage joining us now live from Sheffield. We're so sorry for all the confusion, Mr Farage. A few technical issues, our bad, glad you're still there. Talk to us about your posters that you've launched. Who are they aimed at?
Yeah, there's a series of posters. The posters deal with the issue of nationality, the fact that the European flag, indeed the European Union, is now imposed on our passports. They deal with cost, the fact that membership of this club costs us £55 million a day. They deal with the fact that now 75% of our laws aren't made here. They're made by the institutions of the EU, and so we've lost our democracy. And yes, it deals with open borders, the fact we have a complete open border to southern and eastern Europe, that we now discriminate against people from India and New Zealand in favour of Romania and Bulgaria. And we have no limit on the number of people that can come to this country. And that doesn't make sense. And what's really interesting is that 77% of British people in a recent survey said they believe we've got to get a degree of control back over our borders.
Don't get bogged down in figures. Remember what happened to Mr Clegg when he did that. Let's talk about the other poster, one of the other posters that you've got, the unlimited cheap labour one.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say here?
What we're saying is that things now in Italy and Spain within the Eurozone are so dire that if you look at the migration figures for last year, you've seen most of the increase, nearly all of the increase, in fact, came from those countries. Now, I'm very sorry for people down there. Youth unemployment in Greece, 60%, and not too far away from it in Spain as well. And yet we have no control. If things get worse in the Eurozone, we have zero control over the number of people that can come to Britain. And that doesn't make sense, not just from a jobs perspective, but also from primary schools, healthcare, and everything else.
Okay.
All we're saying is this. We want to have an immigration policy that has a degree of control over numbers and quality.
How can it be unlimited cheap labour, though, when we've got a minimum wage that you have to get, whether you are British or Spanish or any other European, Eastern European or whatever, it's $6.31 an hour?
Well, I mean, what's actually happened to the minimum wage is that in many cases it's now become the maximum wage, because in many industries that probably would be paying more now, they've been able, big employers particularly, to force everyone down to that minimum wage level. I mean, what we're saying is this, is that for a lot of people in work in this country, they have seen wage compression over the course of the last 10 years, their real take-home pay going down at a time when the gas bill is still going up.
OK, so, but just to clarify, you think that British workers should have preferential treatment when it comes to being offered jobs that are available?
Well, I don't think we should have a complete open door to the labour market in this country from the European Union where we make no decision at all over numbers or skills or the quality of people that come. And that's why this stunning 77% of people say they want something to be done.
But do you think that British workers should have preferential treatment when it comes to being offered jobs in the United Kingdom?
I think it's the job of the British government to make sure that it puts British people and their interests first. Absolutely. Of that there's no question. You know, and that's why people vote. They vote. I mean, the Labour Party. The Labour Party historically was there to look after working communities in this country, and it's given all of that up in favour of an open door to southern and eastern Europe.
But isn't that racist?
I don't think it is, no. I don't think it is. I don't think it can be deemed as such in any way. I mean, we've never in our history had a complete open door, and now we have one to 485 million people. I don't think in terms of common sense that really adds up.
But if you are a racist, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, it means that you are showing the belief that a particular race is superior to another. And presumably, if you're saying that British people should have jobs above East Europeans, you're suggesting that they're superior. And as a result, that's racist.
Well, actually, this is a big argument in London amongst the Afro-Caribbean community, 50% of whose youngsters haven't got jobs. And that same survey that was done recently showed over 60% of the settled ethnic minorities in this country also believe we've got to have some degree of control. So this crosses all boundaries within this country. OK,
but you're getting bogged down in the figures again. And as I said, remember what happened to Mr Clegg when he did that. Yeah. I've given you the definition of racist.
Well, yeah.
You told me what you thought about the fact that British workers should have a superior chance of getting a job above European workers, whether they're from Eastern Europe or whatever. And that is quite simply a racist comment.
No, it isn't. It is the job of a British government, firstly, to defend the realm, and secondly, to put the interests of the people that live in this country first. That's what we should be doing, and I'm afraid we've turned our backs on that over the course of the last few years, which has led to much, much unhappiness among millions of families.
What should happen to East Europeans who are working here at the moment?
Well, there are many, of course, that have come here and done incredibly well. There are others that have come here and haven't done incredibly well. What is for certain is that if you have an oversupply in the labour market, particularly the unskilled labour market, you force down wages and you make it much harder, particularly for school leavers, to get their foot on the rung of the labour marketplace.
So they shouldn't be allowed to do the work. So they shouldn't be here. So they shouldn't be here. They should leave so that those jobs could be given to somebody else who are British.
Well,
and that's racist.
I haven't argued that. Well, I haven't argued we should retrospectively change any laws at all. What I am saying is, here on in, we need to take back control. And ultimately, I mean, the place to really debate this is going to be a referendum in this country. At the moment, Ed Miliband says he won't give us a referendum, and part of our campaign is to go for Labour votes in the north of England particularly, to force Labour, if he does become the next Prime Minister, into giving the British people a choice.
Immigration on this scale has led to increasing segregation in our towns and cities, but worst of all, what it's done socially, it has left, I'm afraid, a white working class effectively as an underclass, and that, I think, is a disaster for society. You know that obviously that's what you said during one of the Europe debates with Mr. Clegg. So you're suggesting that we have created in this country a white underclass, a white working class underclass?
I didn't say it was solely that, because if you remember, the next sentence I uttered was about, particularly in South London, the Afro-Caribbean community having been forced into the same position. Yes, we have disadvantaged the life chances of many people in this country from all backgrounds.
How would you describe a racist?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Well, I don't know. I know we're running a party. I'm here in Yorkshire. The number 2 on our list is Amjad Bashir, born in Pakistan, raised in Bradford. He's a businessman. He's standing for UKIP, and he knows that he signed up, as all our candidates have done, to being a non-sectarian, non-racist party committed to putting the interests of the British people first. That's what it's about.
But you can't describe what a racist means to you.
Someone that discriminates on those grounds, that's not us. There are other choices on the ballot paper for people that feel like that. Mercifully, I don't think they're going to get many votes.
I'm just looking at, I wonder if we can talk about the reason that we got you on, obviously, was talking about your manifesto. Yeah. And Lucy Vade in Devon, I'll be voting UKIP because they're the only party listening to what people want. She's a very pretty girl. She ticks all the boxes. Why did you choose her?
Well, she is a member of our party and has been for some years, and she works for us in our head office in London.
Do you think you should have made that...
What is your problem with her?
I have no problem with her at all. I just wondered whether you should have made that clearer on your manifesto.
So I can't really win with you, can I? On the one hand, you're saying that we are talking about a white working class in Britain, and secondly, when I tell you that working directly for me is a girl who's half Indian, you've got a problem with that too.
No, I don't have a problem. No.
I don't mind being criticised, but do make your mind up what the criticism is.
I'll tell you what, it's not a criticism, it's merely an observation, and then it's for our viewers to decide to make their own minds up. The point is, when you see that picture of that beautiful girl, you don't actually say that she is a member of UKIP. What you need to... It looks as though she is a very intelligent, beautiful member of society, and she has decided that she wants to vote UKIP. You have to go onto Twitter before you can see that she is an events manager for UKIP and an assistant to you.
Well, I don't think you'd ask this question of the Labour Party, the Lib Dems or the Conservatives, who often have group pictures. You know, the leader with 25 people standing behind them, and you've never asked the CV of any of those, have you?
I think I have, actually. And you know what? When I have Labour on, they say you wouldn't ask this of the Tories. And when I have the Tories on, they say you wouldn't ask this of Labour. You're just becoming a mainstream politician.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to have that. You know, the fact that Lizzie Vade is half Indian and works for us is, as far as we're concerned, a non-issue.
Of course it's an issue. You have to be open and transparent and say, oh, and by the way, I work for UKIP.
How pathetic. You can't answer that question.
I don't see any reason for that at all. She's somebody in our promotional material who's going to vote UKIP. She joined UKIP. She got a job in UKIP because she believes in what we stand for. What on earth is wrong with that?
Exactly. What on earth is wrong with what? So why don't you actually say that in your documentation?
Why only the white working class?
I don't see the need.
Sorry?
Only the white working class.
I don't see the need. I mean, you see, you're going down this media route. You know, do you want us to say the religion of all of our candidates, or do you want us to say we're living in the United Kingdom, wherever we come from, whatever religion we are part of this country, and we're all in this together? That's our message, and you seem to be wanting to segment people out.
If in doubt, always blame the media. That's what I find is a very useful way of going about things. That's what Mary McLeod did when she was on the programme the other day. I wondered if I could ask you how you think you're going to do in the elections.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you look at the opinion polls, the last half a dozen, Labour are clearly in the lead, with the Tories trailing in third. You know, we are going to spend a lot of our time, resource and effort in the big cities, in the north of England, in the big Labour voting areas, because we know, a very large chunk of old Labour does not like the fact that we're controlled by the institutions of Brussels. And, if that's how they feel, there isn't much point of them voting for New Labour, is there?
Fancy being an MP?
I don't know. Let's get May the 22nd out of the way first. It's a European election. Labour are the front runners. Labour are the bookmakers' favourites to win. Our job, and with this launch here in Sheffield today, is to challenge that over the course of the next 4 weeks.
Can't thank you enough for coming back to talk to us here on Sky News. I know you've got a million things to do, so we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Thank you very much indeed. News@sky.com. If you would like to take part in the conversation here on Sky News, you can tweet me directly if you would like to, @KBurley.